All right, so this first recording is going to focus on the time-based POI. I've taught two time-based POIs already, right? If you guys remember, um, do you guys actually remember the time-based POIs? Let me just double check because I make mention of some of these things and then people ask 2 weeks later, like Internet Explorer, if that's a time-based POI or not. Okay, so the 144 minute, the 824 candle, yep, and the 9 a.m. candle. So that's something that is considered a time-based POI currently. We have the 824 candle on the 144 minute time frame. So those 824 candles we could often see price tap back into, right, and reject out. So what we saw was yesterday during FOMC, this 824 candle right here is where price found support on, right? You see it did not take the low of the POI, right? Tapped into the 50% of the 824 candle over here and then rejected out and traded up above, right? So we know that the 824 candle is one POI, right? The 824 candle on the 144 minute time frame, right? So this is just a quick brush up for the people who don't know this or don't remember it. There's the 9 a.m. candle, right? So the 9 a.m. candle is also a POI, right? The 9 a.m. candle was derived from the 824 candle. It gives you a rejection usually around that candle when price makes its way back there, right? You go to any 9 a.m. candle, you'll often see rejections out of there. There's a 9 a.m. candle here, right, up above. Where do we see that rejection on the 9 a.m. candle? Right into center over there, right? There's a rejection, trades out, right? So what I'm teaching you guys today is the 3 p.m. candle, right? The 3 p.m. candle. Now, Coffee Cat in the group, he mentioned something about settlement a while ago, right? I just brushed it off because it was a line that I placed somewhere that I thought price would hit, right? He mentioned that it's the settlement of it, and I didn't know what he was talking about. I just know that it was a line that I placed based on the concepts that we trade, right? The price action. But I was talking to the trading desk for my broker, and they mentioned that settlement is actually 3 p.m., right? So with him mentioning that settlement is 3 p.m., they really didn't register to me. Didn't I didn't really think anything of it. When he said it like, I don't know, 3 weeks ago maybe. So over here, right? This is a 3 o'clock candle right here, right? And I took the 3 o'clock candle to the low that the 3 o'clock candle put in, or the low that the next candle put in, right? And I saw this bounce on it on the 30%, and I saw price trade out of it, right? So it led me to further investigate what's happening around this 3 o'clock time frame, that there are these rejections, right? So that's when I began to go back and look in, maybe not this, because this is large range day. This is monetary policy. So we're not even going to consider that, right? But we're going to consider any other day that we generally have that 3 o'clock closure, right? What I'm seeing is, so let's take all the 3 p.m. candles. 3 p.m. candle here, 3 p.m. candle there, another 3 p.m. candle there, another 3 p.m. candle there, another one there, another one there. Yeah. Just make sure I get a few of them, right? No 3 p.m. candle here because that's a bank holiday, more than likely. So there won't be 3 p.m. candles on a bank holiday because it closes at 12. So 3 p.m. candle within there. That's fine. Another 3 p.m. candle there. I'm just going to mark out a few of these. Just so it's not me trying to fudge the numbers. Put something together and there's no consistency with it. I'm only going to introduce to you guys things that are consistent. If there's no consistency in it, I immediately reject it. Don't even want to hear anything about it. If I can't use it every day, I don't want to hear anything about it. And I know people get upset. Isn't this a scientific community where we exchange ideas? No, because if I took the ideas from Twitter and all these other places that people claim they knew how to trade, I would not know how to trade to this day. So, no. The answer is no. So we have these 3 p.m. candles here. Let me just grab a few more so we go over multiple examples of when they fail, what you should do around the failures of them, what you should do to maybe avoid failures, right? If you're not here to learn this today, then you can go trade and then come back when we do a trading stream. But this is a very powerful way of viewing price. I'm realizing. Let me see if I have any of them in here. So this is... Let me just use the 3 p.m.s leading up to FOMC. Just so it doesn't seem like we're cherry picking, right? All right. Do we have any up here? Right there. Is this 3 p.m.? Yes. And the next one is here. Probably try to get Jack to edit this video so it's not as long. So what I've been seeing is, as I told you guys, my broker mentioned that this is settlement, right? So when it comes to this 3 p.m. candle, right? What I was initially seeing was that if we get a closure above or below it, right? The closure that happens on it, price is likely to tap back into the 3 p.m. candle and reject out of. That's the first thing that I saw, right? The second thing was that even if price did not reject out of the 3 p.m. candle, there was a rejection somewhere around the 3 p.m. candle, right? And this is in regards to closures above the hourly 3 p.m. candle, right? So you get a closure above the hourly, you get a tap back in, and then price leaves, right? So what I've fine-tuned that to be, and this is something that I just discovered this morning, so just bear with me on refining a little more of the next few days, and then we'll be able to get into a little more refined work with it. But what I'm realizing is when we close above or below the 3 p.m. candle, we get a rejection on the 3 p.m. candle, right? But there are also times where, so there's that 3 p.m. candle right here too, right? There are also times where price will run up above the 3 p.m. candle and then drop back below it. So a rejection is somewhere in and around that 3 p.m. candle, right? And the reason why I said it's for Asia and London traders is because oftentimes this is where we reject in those sessions, right? If you go through each 3 p.m. candle and you look at the closures above and below and what session actually rejected off of it, you're going to see that it's usually around somewhere in Asia, somewhere after midnight, that we tend to get a rejection on this candle. So what I've further refined that to is that if you utilize zones that are either in or around the 3 p.m. candle, those zones are likely to give you nice reactions off of in the sessions that you are trading when price gets there, right? Versus trying to use the candle itself, right? So we said we get a closure above or below the 3 p.m. candle, right? But there are times, you guys are going to see in some of the examples, where price will tap onto the zone that's present around that 3 p.m. candle and reject off of it, and it's a high probability zone, right? But you're using now the time element, right? The settlement that's there, right, on that 3 p.m. You're using that along with whatever zone is nearest. So if the up candle or the down candle is the 3 p.m. candle, the candle that has the last high or the candle that has the last low, if that is the 3 p.m. candle, then you can use that candle by itself, right? The only thing is there are times where price will tap onto the top of that 3 p.m. candle and then run. So that's why it's better to encompass the zone around the 3 p.m. candle. Sometimes it's above, sometimes it's below, it's somewhere around there. We're going to go through multiple examples of it. But when we get that closure, you see price tap back in and give you this nice little move out of it. So it ends up being something along the lines of a time-based POI that you can take entries on, right? So if we see over here, this is the 3 p.m. candle for Tuesday. This is yesterday, right? Well, the day before, sorry. But this was during yesterday's session. So this is Tuesday, the 17th of December, right? 2024. The 3 p.m. candle, we closed up above it right here on this candle. This is 2300, right? This is in Asia. So we tapped onto this candle multiple times throughout Asia and throughout London, right? The candle itself, right? The candle itself, we got multiple taps within there. If you were going to use a zone that's encompassed around that candle, we see that it's this zone right here, right? SNDR, bam. So is the SNDR likely around the 3 p.m. candle? I don't know. You go back test it. You got to see. So I can't do all the work for you. But we see price taps right into the 50% of the SNDR, right? And runs out, trades the other way, right? We see the New York session, right? Opens up, drops, delivers us into what? The 50% of the zone that has the 3 p.m. candle nearest to it, right? Whether it's the zone, whether it's the wick, right? I had called this out for you guys. The 245, I was expecting a rejection out of there. The 245 had nothing to do with this, right? I just learned this morning. I spent all morning looking through so many different styles of price action with it, so many different assets, and then now I'm here sharing it with you guys. You guys get a more refined and updated version. I don't know, what's today? Thursday? Maybe sometime next week. Maybe next Tuesday or something like that. But this is what obsession does to you. When you learn something and you're so good at it, right? You're so consistent with that one thing, you see so many other things happening around that one thing that could make it a bit easier for someone else's personality. Some people need to be restricted to time, right? Some people are restricted to a certain session that they can trade in, right? So now this is using a time-based POI, right? That covers all sessions, Asia, London, and New York, right? So we see price taps into that POI, right? And then it runs out, right? Trades up above, delivers a 1-to-1 on it. Cool. Whatever. They're delivered, right? Order filled. So over here, we see the same thing, right? Now, this is a 3 o'clock candle, right? It has the high and it ran through the low of it. What do we notice as the candle that I just introduced, right? The single candle entry, the SEC model, SCE model. So what we have here is this fractal that gave us the up move, right? This fractal here, we put in this high and then we drop below, we closed, right? So if you chose the fractal as the POI, we see right around here in what? Asia, we tapped into it and then we rejected out, right? You see London coming back to it. 6 a.m. at London, we tapped into it again, right? And then what? We rejected out, right? Through the rest of the session. Fine. We'll also see times where it fails too. So this is not a 100% thing, but this is something that you can use as some higher time frame overhead. You know how I always tell you guys, take 2 time frames with you, right? Here's the solution. So we have this 3 p.m. candle that's here, right? We get the close below the 3 p.m. candle. This is why I ruled out just using the 3 p.m. candle alone, because there are times where we can get the closure below it and then we go back above it, right? So we get the closure below it. We do get a rejection inside of it before taking the high of it, right? This is in Asia, right? We reject down, and then London opens up and takes the high of it, right? Cool. But if you used this POI here, if you use this down candle here, an actual POI, right? Not just the time candle, right? An actual POI, we see price tap into the 30% of that POI, and then we see it reject out, right? If you use this here, capturing the high of that candle along with the low that was put in, price traded up above it and left, right? Never came back. I don't know if this might have been somewhere where FOMC stopped for a little bit. Actually, let me just double check now. I can just look at it. Great day in the morning. Look, stop right. Let me just scroll back so y'all see it's no fake news, right? Right there in the 50% of it on the drop after FOMC occurred, right? And then you see this huge run up from 0.74 to 162, right? So we see how this POI works out, right? Let's go to some more of them, right? So this here's the 3 p.m. candle again, right? We see that this is the high of the 3 p.m. candle. Here's the low of the 3 p.m. candle, right? We see we got a closure there and then a gap up on the market open, right? So this is likely nothing that anybody would be taking a trade on, right? But if you take the POI that's present there, whether it's that, remember what I said, there are times where you tap right onto the top of it, right there, right? But we'll take the POI that encompasses that 3 p.m. candle. We see price tap right into the 50% and it runs, right? So we have another 3 p.m. candle over here. Yeah, this is the 3 p.m. candle right there, right? That candle there. Remember what I said, you get the closure below, but we don't want to use that singular candle. Like we're using a 9 a.m. candle, it's just a closure up above or below. The 824 is just a closure up above or below. What we're actually using is the POI that encompasses, or the POI that's around, right, that 3 p.m. candle, right? So if we look over here, we see price taps into the 50% here at 6 a.m., drops below, almost delivers the 1-to-1 at 7, and then 7 o'clock opens and it runs through the candle. Fine. Do not ask me if you can inverse this candle. No, we don't inverse anything. We use it one time. We don't like things that are ran through. So we see that there's a 3 p.m. candle here too, right? You see how the price can tap onto the top of it, of that 3 p.m. candle. Maybe there's like a little tiny fractal inside of there that it might have hit too, right? The first tap onto the fractal trading out. But you see this is 1900 and then this is London, right? London taps onto it and runs the other way. Cool. Let's go to this one here. So we have this 3 p.m. candle, this green candle right here, right? This green candle, there's no closure up above or below it until we get to here, right? So likely you'd either be using the candle or the wick, because the wick is the actual down move before the candle shifted up. So if you go over after the closure, you see this is 11 o'clock in the New York session, right? we get a tap into the 50% of the New York session, right? And then when it runs out, it runs about 40 points the other way, right? You're going to be looking for your models within these higher time frame candles. So it's just now you have a tap, you're expecting a rejection here, and you're looking to trade the opposite direction. So once you get your confirmation within it, it's a lot easier to trade utilizing that, right? We see that with Asia and London through here. That was a very garbage session. I don't know what happened in there, but they just consolidated around it. Let's go to this one up above right here. This candle here is a 3 p.m. candle. Right there, right? We see price goes above it, closes it, and then it comes back below and runs it, right? Takes out the low of it. That's fine. As I mentioned, there are times where the candle will fail, right? But when you're trading back to the candle, this is where on the lower time frame you have the ability to look for your confirmations within here, and even if it goes below the candle and you find your confirmation below the candle, remember what we said, rejections often happen in or around the 3 p.m. candle, right? So you might have likely wanted to take this here, right, the high of this 1300 candle to the low right there of the 1400 candle. This is one thing that I want to note. There are times where you can get a wick up above the POI that has the 3 p.m. candle in it, right? The times you get a wick up above it, it can still tap back in to that POI and deliver a trade out of it, right? So you see this tapped in during Asia, and around midnight it traded out, right? It traded back into that POI, right? But then the POI failed. That's fine. What you're looking for is your model when it's getting back to the POI. Your confirmation likely is not going to show up if price is liquidating the POI. So that's why we say no confirm, no trade, right? So let's go to the next 3 p.m. candle. We have the 3 p.m. candle here, right? That one candle, that's 3 p.m. candle. So you see how we get the closure below the 3 p.m. candle. We see price tap right back into the 50% of the 3 p.m. candle. And it runs, right? But what we said was we don't want to use the candle, right? We want to use the POI that's present. So look at this right here. That up candle, that doji, it went up and the 3 p.m. candle came down, right? If you use that candle, you would have had the same result of price tapping in here at what? London, right? It hit the bottom in Asia, rejected away, right? Tapped in at London, right here, and then traded out, right? You're not looking for price to take highs and lows when you get into this, right? You're looking to secure some profit because we want to buy ourselves time to continue to trade in this market, right? We're not looking to be right. We're looking to make money. So we have another 3 p.m. candle that's here, right? Now this 3 p.m. candle is a POI within itself because it's the up candle, right? So it's the closure up above the up candle right there. We tap right into the 30% of that up candle. You see right here in Asia, 2100, we hit it. We reject away, right? Here near London, we hit it, reject away. We see that we tap into the 50% here at the 7 o'clock candle. The 8 o'clock candle delivers the 1-to-1 on the 50% of the up candle, right? This is coming out of that 3 p.m. candle. So let me go to this one here. Now we have this this 3 p.m. candle right here, right? That 3 p.m. candle there, right? I don't know if this is where FOMC just blitzed through it. Yeah, it did, right? The FOMC just dropped right through it, right? But remember what we said: if it goes to the other side of it, that's potentially where we could have that rejection somewhere under there. So that was that first move up that FOMC made after that large drop, and then it led into another drop down before trading back up and retracing some of it. So that happened on that 3 p.m. candle. Like we mentioned over here, there were no 3 p.m. candles because this was bank holidays, right? So we have another 3 p.m. candle here, right? This up candle right here. Now we see that there's no closure up above the high of it, right? So what we said was we either want to use the zone that's there. So we see that we have a tap into the 30% of the zone here around midnight, and then we trade out. We have a tap into the top of the zone here around Asia, and we trade out, right? Price goes to the other side of it. Let me just make sure. The low is 199.75, and this low is... Oh, so it didn't take the low. Yeah, it didn't take the low on this. So likely you could have found a model somewhere within here to be able to trade back into that direction, right? On the 1 minute time frame, you're going to see plenty of opportunities to be able to scalp going the other way, because you know that this is often an area, right? Or this is often a zone that is high probability based on the settlement candle being there, right? So even when we take the low of it, right? Now this is the up move that has the 3 p.m. candle in it. We go down, we close, right? When we return back to it over here, you see we hit the 30% of it in Asia, and then we have that rejection going out, right? I don't know if London had took it in this section. No, actually, that rejection was Asia into London. Okay, that's fine. So we have another one over here, right? This is the 3 p.m. candle right here, right? That up candle. Now we have two POIs that's present there. We have this, the fractal that's there, right? Or whether you want to call it this smaller fractal within here, right? Which you're going to see this as a down move into an up move. You're going to see a low put in and a high put in. That's one swing, right? You're going to see a low put in and a high put in. That's another swing, right? You're going to see that low put in, that high put in. That's the third swing that's there, right? From the low. And then we see price reverse. This is not replacing any of the other stuff that we teach, right? This is just helping you to understand where high probability POIs can be present, right? So this fractal, we tap into the 30% of it, sorry, and then we have the huge run going out of it. This is 1600 into 8 p.m. So nobody would have been trading within that, obviously. But what we also have is this, right? We have now that up move, that price shifts down, closes below right here. This is Asia that's running back in. Now we have London that's inside of the POI or somewhere around London. This is what, 1 a.m., right? So we have that inside of the POI. Now, if you were looking for a model on the lower time frame to trade into the direction of where you're expecting that rejection, then you would have likely been able to find something and deliver into some internal low right there or something like that, right? But this is just a rough idea of how to use these 3 p.m. candles. You're not using it as a singular tap into the candle and it's like, okay, yeah, let's run, let's go. You know, this is something that you'd be using as the POI that's present there, right, around that candle for you to be able to find nice entries off of. So we see right here, this is another 3 p.m. candle, right? This is another 3 p.m. candle right here, right? But like I said, if you take the zone, you'd see price likely tap onto the top of the 3 p.m. candle. Right there, this is 10 a.m. hits the top of the zone there. Not, it almost hit the candle, but not really. Taps onto the top of the zone, and then you see that rejection that runs the other way, right? Or you have this wick that's down here, right? And we see price finds its way into the wick, right? The 50% of the wick hits there and it trades out. The 70% of the wick hits here on this Asia candle and then trades out, right? We have the same thing over here, 3 p.m. candle. We have this, even though this is a down candle, right? We have the fractal that's there, right? Closure below the fractal, price taps into the 50% and then price shorts out, right? So that's quite a bit of examples that we've given so far in regards to the 3 p.m. candle and how to use it. And we see rejections near and around this particular candle forming, right? So if we find the POI that's within it, then we could potentially find a trade that's going in the opposite direction of when price is tapping into that 3 p.m. candle,